Richo, I want to get your response to what Michael Kroger has just said. Do you think the Greens are an existential threat to Labor and the values that Labor once stood for?
No. I think they can engage in the odd bit of ratbaggery. They can make fools of themselves. But they are part of Australia's body politic. They are a genuine part of it. You know, you can't get 10% of the vote election after election after election and just be disregarded. You have got a piece of the action, shall we say, and it's a piece that they have maintained and retained election after election. Now, my view of the Greens has always been there's some good points about it when they talk about trees. When they get off trees, that's when they get off.
They haven't been on trees for a long time now, for many years now. And I think voters are still...
that is true.
Yes, and many voters are still under the misapprehension that the Greens is an environmental party. They don't care about the environment anymore. In fact, you know, they often want to kill off the koalas, we hear tonight, and other news. But Richo, I just want to stick with you for a minute. I hear that Labor circles joke that Albanese is, he's the Prime Minister, but he's also the Assistant General Secretary of the New South Wales ALP because he's so involved and obsessed with the minutiae of New South Wales Labor candidates. Is this true, Richo? I mean, it's not believable, like Michael said, that he doesn't know Labor's giving preferences to the Greens or who the candidate is in his seat.
No, that isn't believable. I'm not going to defend that. There's no credibility in saying that. Of course he knows. I think Albo ought to just look at the Greens, speak about them honestly, and maybe not completely honestly, but as honest as possible. Look, they can come up with some good policies, but unfortunately they've been taken over by a whole lot of people who couldn't give a rat's about trees and who have much more radical views of the world. And it's a sad thing for me to have watched that over the course of the last couple of decades. The Greens are not what they were, and they never will be again.
Yeah, that is sad indeed. Michael, let's talk about the campaign. We've got 10 days to go. The national polls are looking very dire for the coalition, but internal Liberal polling paints another picture. Dutton has said that publicly yesterday. What's your sense of where the campaign's at the moment?
Well, there's no doubt the Labor have had the best of the first 3 weeks of the campaign, which was largely built on their historic brand equity in social policy, to it in this case, Medicare. And I must say I was delighted to see the Shadow Minister for Health, Anne Ruston, make a blistering attack on Albanese today by saying he's just a political vulture preying on the sick and the infirmed and the elderly, which is exactly 100% right. And I wish someone had said that months ago, because their whole campaign is to scare older people and sick people and elderly people into thinking that somehow their Medicare card's going to be taken away from them if Peter Dutton wins. And good on Anne Ruston for attacking him. And this is a campaign based on deception. And by the way, you know, we see the deception with the use of the Medicare sign behind Albanese in the Medicare card. These are trademarks owned by the Commonwealth. I don't know why Albanese. I don't know why the head of Medicare hasn't rung the federal ALP campaign director and said, "Can you stop using the Medicare sign behind Albanese at these press conferences? Otherwise, I will seek an injunction against the ALP and Albanese for misusing our trademarks." So Albanese's got away with blue murder. It's one of the many things he's done during this campaign which is just dishonest, and you know, he should be called out for it.
Well, on that point, Dutton last night accused Albanese of constantly lying, saying, great line, that he couldn't lie straight in bed. Have a look.
You were being honest, you would admit that funding went up each and every
30
year.
billion in education.
Every year,
our population is increasing. 14.
Prime Minister, you couldn't lie straight in bed, honestly. This is unbelievable.
You can go to abuse.
No, well, it's just the reality.
Abuse.
Richo, it was a good line. It cut through, got a lot of media attention, but it's true, isn't it?
No, it's not true. All I'll say to that is Albo's a politician. Politicians stretch the truth, and they do it every day. Both sides do it, They stretch it as far as they possibly can. And you're not going to stop that. Albo
The
won't be the
lies
last to be
this
caught out.
campaign, Richo, have been egregious. As Michael just said, standing in front of that Medicare sign, claiming that Dutton was going to cut Medicare. He's not going to cut Medicare. You've got to admit that.
No, I think I've already just said to you, I think we've gone a little bit over the top, but that happens in politics. This is not, a kiss in the ring. This is a pretty tough game. And we're playing it tough now. Look, I think that Albo probably would regret some of the words he's used in this. But by the same token, it still seems to be going okay to me. I don't think there'll be any radical change in what happens. I still think that Labor will hold government, and in my view, we'll hold it alone. We won't need Teals or anybody else.
What do you think about that prediction, Michael? Do you think Albanese, perhaps through all of these scare campaigns and lies, will hold government without... Richo's saying majority government there, if he doesn't need the Teals or anyone else. What do you reckon about that prediction?
Well, I've always doubted that because for such a long time people thought the government was so poor, and they reverted to Labor in the recent polls for the reasons I explained. But do I think people really think they want the next 3 years to be like the last 3? I think a majority of people won't want that because he's been such a poor Prime Minister and has been such a poor government. So I don't think that'll happen. But, can he get there with the Greens, which would be his first port of call since he's in a love wrestle with them? He could well do that, or with a sprinkling of some of the Teals. That can happen if he gets to, if you get to 70 seats. If Labor get to 70 seats, then there are a chance with the Greens and the Teals to cobble together 76. So that's on the last lot of polling. That's possible. Although I'm hopeful that a lot of this increase in the Labor vote is in Labor's seats where there were very heavy swings away from them in safe seats at the last election, particularly in Victoria. Their primary vote dropped 4% and huge numbers in safe Labor seats. So if those numbers have come back to Labor, in other words, if it's Labor talking to their base, which a lot of their campaign is, the result might be much closer than people think.
Well, as I'm going to ask James Patterson about in a moment, there certainly is this disconnect between the published national polls and the internal research that the Liberals are getting. All right, Richo, Michael Kroger, great to see you both as always.